Hi, everyone. Welcome to Career Cloud. I am your host, Dr. Amber Rains, and today we are continuing Aviation Month and highlighting another exciting career in aviation. Today we have First Officer Tyler Waters with us today. Hi, Tyler.
Hey Amber, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you so much for your willingness to participate in the interview.
Of course, yes, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. And before we get started, I know First Officer Waters very well because he is a wonderful neighbor who has agreed to participate in these interviews. So we are very excited to learn more about his area of expertise. And
Thank,
we will start with reading, I will read his bio and then we will get into the questions. Tyler grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, as one of five children. His parents instilled in him that his faith in God, self discipline, and work ethic were very important to achieving what he wanted for his life. Early in high school, he developed an interest in aviation and started pursuing a career as a pilot. After exploring all the different avenues there are to become a career pilot, Tyler decided that the best path for him was through the military. He got involved in many organizations, including Student Council, Young Life, and played multiple sports. He earned an appointment as a Texas Aerospace Scholar with NASA as a junior in high school, which further motivated him to pursue a career in aviation. Upon graduating high school, Tyler received a full scholarship from the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps to attend the University of Oklahoma. While there, he earned a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and was commissioned as an officer in the United States Air Force. He achieved his dream of becoming a pilot by graduating in the top three of his Reserve Officer Training Corps commissioning class and being selected to attend the Air Force undergraduate pilot training. He served for 12 years as an Air Force pilot flying the T-6 Texan II, the T-1A Jayhawk, the C-17 Globemaster III, and the Boeing 757. He was also able to earn a master's degree in military studies with a concentration in air warfare from the American Military University while serving full-time in the United States Air Force. In 2018, he moved from the military to pursue a civilian flying career and earned a job at Omni Air International on the Boeing 767 as a pilot first officer. Omni is a charter airline that flies various passengers around the world on the Boeing 767 and the Boeing 777 aircraft. Tyler has been flying for Omni Air International for the past 2 years to many locations around the world. Some of the locations from the last couple of months, he has flown to Norway, Ireland, Romania, Bulgaria, Oman, and Kuwait, as well as multiple locations in the US. Tyler is excited to take the next career step in upgrading to captain soon, and he loves the freedom this career gives him to spend lots of time at home with his wife and two children, as well as getting to travel the world. Welcome, Tyler, and thank you again for participating in the Career Cloud interview.
yes, thanks for having me. I'm happy to do it.
Wonderful. That was an impressive bio. We are so looking forward to learning more about you. And I know that we just heard about some of the influences that you had while growing up, but could you tell us a bit about what was most influential in your career path that led to the role that you're in today?
Yeah. So I mentioned in the Texas Aerospace Call that I kicked off aviation. It it was a year's worth of distance learning over the with other aerospace scholars. So we did that for about a year, learning about, we actually were really focused on Mars. We learned a lot on Mars and what it would take, a mission to Mars would take, and all the things involved with that. So we learned all that over a year. And then for the summer between my junior and senior year in high school, we actually go down there for 2 weeks to Houston, to NASA, and got to climb all over the simulators, and they even took us out to the airfield where the astronauts fly and practice pulling G's in the aircraft. And so I remember climbing into the cockpit and sitting there and thinking, man, this is pretty cool. This is something I could really, get after and do. And so that really kind of kicked it off. And so I started just kind of looking into what it would take to get there and what I needed to do. And that's what kind of got me involved in all kinds of different things, to, I guess, essentially build up my resume, because I knew I wanted to go the military route, because essentially I could build up my hours and get all my training for them and get paid for it, as opposed to if I went the other route, you have to pay a lot of money for flying hours and to get all that experience. So I never thought I would join the military, but it was the best thing that happened to me. So that's kind of how it all got started. Got me interested in engineering as well. That's why I got my degree from Oklahoma in aerospace engineering. So yeah, all through college, I just kind of had that goal in mind, and just kept going for it. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
yeah.
So what do you enjoy most about the work that you do?
Well, it's extremely exciting just getting to go to all these different places. And a lot of times my schedule will change as I go on my trip. So, I might be think I'm going to Ireland one day, and I end up going to Norway, like I did a couple months ago. So that's really exciting. I like a challenge. I always have. And, once you get a lot of experience flying, some of the challenges that used to be challenges when you first started aren't necessarily the challenges that you have today. So a lot of times you can be dealing with weather, and have to, figure out your way around it, or maybe even go to a different destination and divert. But I like having those types of things. I'm kind of a problem solver type person. So that's exciting for me. And the other thing is you just work around a bunch of great people. Like, you're working with people that kind of they might have a similar way of getting to their career path as you did, but you all kind of have that common bond of liking traveling and flying, and then you get to go, on your layovers, get to go hang out and explore wherever you're at. So you get to do that with your coworkers, which is it's always a fun time. There's a lot of good camaraderie, and so that's what's most exciting to me, I think.
And you mentioned problems and challenges. Is there an example that you can think of a problem or challenge that you encountered that you were able to overcome that maybe you hadn't expected until you had gone through it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it was only a couple months ago we were flying from Romania back to Virginia, and the critical part of the flight, well, as far as the international flight, is usually the crossing the ocean. Because there's not places, you have to stay within certain distance of places where you can land. And we were just about to coast, we call it coasting out over Ireland to cross the Atlantic. And our autopilot system kicked off, and then our radio started messing up. So we couldn't tell anybody about it. And we weren't legal to cross the ocean with some of the systems that we had lost. So it was kind of one of those decisions we had to make, but the radio not working kind of further complicated that. So we just worked together as a crew and decided that it would be best to turn around and go back to Romania, because we had a spare airplane there, because the passengers needed to get back to Virginia that day. So we turned around about 2 hours. We were probably about 2 hours out from Romania. So we had to turn around, got what systems we could to work, and still able to fly the plane. It was just an electrical type issue. So we were able to land it safely back here in Romania, get all the passengers off to the other airplane, and get gas on the other airplane, all the catering and food swapped over, and get back out and fly all the way back to Virginia that day, within our required duty day limitations. So it was just, everything went really smooth. Everybody worked together, and at the end of the day, we got the passengers where they were trying to go and did it safely. So it was, it felt good to overcome that challenge.
Definitely. And it sounds like with, especially as a pilot, you have to be a problem solver, but constantly refining those skills and improving is very key because of, I guess, the unpredictability of the work that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we train to all kinds of different situations, like that. But it seems like when it happens in real life, there's always it's always something that you haven't seen. So I see it as, as a fun, problem solving exercise, I guess. So it's, flying point A to point B all the time can somewhat get monotonous. So every once in a while, you want to have something that, is new, and you learn a lot from it. And you get tight with your coworkers too, because you overcome something together. So it brings you closer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give someone who is considering this type of field as a pilot?
Sure. So for me, like, I went the military route, and I'm biased, but I think that was a great way to do it. But there are some challenges that come with that as well. Not everyone necessarily wants to go fly into a war zone or something like that. There's some risks that you have to take. But for me, it was a great way to do it because, like I said, I didn't come from much money. And my parents basically told us when we were young that, hey, if you want to go to college, then start looking at what scholarships you can get and the avenues to take to get it paid for, or take loans out or whatever. But they weren't going to be able to pay for all of us to go to college. So anyways, that was a perfect way for me to do it because I got some of the best training in the world through the military, not only in flying, but also they sent us to survival school, land survival, water survival. So there's a lot of cool things that I got to learn and go through outside of just flying an airplane, and they do a lot of leadership training. And so that was really the best way to do it for me. And when you get out of the military, if you want to go to the airline job, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, actually gives you a little bit of exceptions, like the flying hours requirement is less to be able to get that job because you had military training. So they see the military training as I guess a higher level of training than it would be if you were going to the local airport. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're paying probably 150 to 200 hours or $200 per hour to fly. And you have to have over 1,000 hours usually for most airline jobs. So that's a lot of money that you're having to, pull out of pocket. Whereas in the military, I was getting paid to do it and had a lot of good experiences and got well-rounded training outside of just the flying part. So that was, I'd say my advice would be to take into consideration all the different avenues and, look at it from a financial standpoint as well. And, some people start flying when they're 16 years old and they've got those hours at the same age that I did. And that's great. If you can do that, it's great. It's a great way to do it. And you're not committed to the military. You're not having to deploy, doing some of those things that not everybody necessarily would want to do. But yeah, I would just say explore all your opportunities to pick which one is best for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What are 1, 2, 3 books that have greatly influenced your life?
Well, I'll have to say the Bible first of all. There's been a lot of things in life that are challenging, and I feel like without my faith, it would have been a lot harder to go through those things. So definitely the Bible. There's another book. It's only about an 80-page long book, but it's called Rhinoceros Success by Scott Alexander. And it's kind of cheesy because it says go be a rhinoceros and charge after things and stuff like that. So it can be kind of goofy, but it's a really quick read and it's super motivating. Basically motivating you to be the best version of you. And I've always thought that was a great book. And then one more, I'd say Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. It's a really good book for like young men to read. It kind of teaches you how God intended us for us to be strong and bold and brave and wild at heart and chase after things with all your energy, and to do it for the Lord. And he actually co-wrote a book called Captivating, and it's for the young women. It's same idea, but for the young women. So those are probably books that stick out in my head the most.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you mentioned geared toward young men, and then you gave the alternative for the young women. So this is going to be perfect for our viewers. And what I'll do is link all of those books for them to be able to access. So thank you
Great.
so much for sharing those.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And as well as sharing how your faith has influenced your ability to navigate in this world. So what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made?
And I'd probably have to say my military training. I kind of keep going back to that, but I felt like it gave me a sense of responsibility, confidence in myself. Some of the training kind of takes you to your limits, and you realize how strong your mind can be. And if you really just believe that you can do something, most of the time you can. There may be hurdles and it may be tough, but so I feel like that military training really, and I say military training in general, but whether it was pilot training or survival training, or water survival training, or shooting firearms, all that stuff, really, you go into it not having any clue of what you're doing, and you come out the other side feeling like you're a professional at it. So yeah, I put a lot of faith in that, in the military training that I have.
Thank you. And I feel that you talked about the different avenues to becoming a pilot, and it seems as though with the military trainer, when you talk about the hours of being able to be utilized, not only did you have flying hours, but you also had experience in numerous elements, if you will, while getting the flying training as well. So it's great to see how that was impactful in your ability to be where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do?
Well, first of all, I rely back on my faith, and I trust that God, has the best in mind, and want to follow His guidance on whatever that may be. And then a lot of times I just think back to kind of growing up. Like I said, I was one of 5 kids. I had 3 brothers and a sister, and I saw my dad going to work every day, all day, and my mom staying at home and taking care of all of us. And I feel like I learned a lot of, like, I saw the hard work and I saw the integrity that my dad had. And so from there is kind of what gave me the inspiration to pursue this career that, I remember people saying like, oh, you'll never be a military pilot. You'll never be an Air Force pilot. And hearing that kind of stuff really just motivated me further. So I like to think back to that, like growing up and seeing that to like kind of get me back focused and working hard. So that's probably what is the best for me to think back to.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we wrap up the interview, is there any other advice that you'd like to provide to any young students that are considering a career path as yours?
Yeah, I'd say for a pilot career, throughout your career, you're going to be changing airplanes. You're going to be learning different things. So I think you kind of have to always be willing to learn more and never be, never get complacent or never get stagnant in your learning. So you kind of have to really be willing to like learning new things. The other part of it, it's a very mental and physical thing at the same time. So it can be tough to grasp at first. So I feel like it takes a lot of resiliency. So like you have to be able basically fail at something or mess up and just get right back up and do it again and keep doing it until you get it right. There's a lot of that. So you kind of have to like that aspect of it. And then, I mean, it's obviously a lot of traveling. That's your job. So you have to be good with traveling, good with seeing new places, and like being on the move and be able to be away from home and live out of a suitcase for a few days. And to me, I love it. It's exciting. I miss my family sometimes, but other than that, I would say if you can check all those boxes, you probably have a pretty good shot at doing well.
Thank you so much for that response. And we will close out the interview from here. Again, we'd like to thank you, Tyler, for providing your expertise on becoming a pilot and being a pilot. Thank you for being an example in our community as well. And also for our viewers, we look forward to providing you with other wonderful interviews, just as this one, as we continue to go on. We would like for you all to subscribe to Give Specific on our Instagram, on our Facebook. And if you would like to donate to us, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. You can donate at givespecific.org/give, or you can donate through our PayPal, which we will link when we post the interview. We will also provide the links to the books that that Pilot Waters has provided for us. And again, continue to look forward for the next week for another awesome interview providing information on aviation. So thank you for your time, Tyler, and we wish you safe travels as you travel the world and come back safely home.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.